Okay, 5:30. Okay, I'll call the meeting to order. I saw a different way of doing this, that you can just, like, Ashley can send something out today, that you can just, the chair can just say, I observe that we have everybody here except for Marcy Dye and Midge. So, let the minutes reflect that. That's what you're supposed to say. Let the minutes reflect that all board members are present except for Marcy Dye and Midge Cross.
I will ensure that happens.
Okay, approval of the minutes from January 13th.
Did we get them?
I sent them very shortly.
Right after the meeting.
Was it? I looked for Jeremy on my thing.
I can resend them to you if you want.
December. Yeah, please resend it. I don't know.
Yeah.
Probably.
We can, do we want to defer that, table that to next meeting?
Mm-hmm.
I don't care. I suppose.
Let's do that.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not comfortable if Joanne hasn't read them.
What?
You actually get stuff.
You are the better proofreader.
Yes, you're an excellent proofreader. Okay, so I'm gonna, what would you call that? Table to March meeting. Great. Okay, new business. Discuss our February 10th walking tour observations. Does anybody have anything they want to share?
Ooh. Well, shall we, into the minutes, get some of the assets and the deficits? Can we actually commit to some of those? No?
We could.
I like that idea.
Okay, how about let's talk about some of the, let's start positive. What are some of our assets that we observe?
The Peach Cannery.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Becoming a museum.
Alpine Basin.
Yeah.
Alpine Basin as an income source.
Yeah.
The playing fields is a wonderful community asset, and Yellowstone Wildlife Sanctuary, and walking trails,
Mm-hmm.
aspen groves that add a lot to the community.
Talked a little bit about the connectivity, biking and
Yes.
walking path to 2 Mile Bridge.
Mm-hmm.
That's a wish list. Let's have a wish list.
Yeah. Okay, let's talk about opportunities for improvement.
Good word. The Kroll property soon to be vacated, but don't know what will happen there, but I think that's a great opportunity.
The Kroll.
Which property?
No, the cement plant.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Cement plant has an opportunity to be redeveloped.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And that area by the Wildlife Center and the ball fields, that's kind of between there and Hagen. I don't know. I believe it's city property, but
Where is that? Which
where the trees were back behind the ball field.
Mhm.
but we
Oh, yeah,
ended
sure.
up behind the Wildlife Center.
Mm-hmm.
So is that that might be, is that an
Potential asset.
An asset, yeah. But,
And the trail is city, right?
yeah.
The
but we-
trail that goes down to the river and then along the river.
Oh, down,
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all part of Coal Miners Park, I believe.
yeah.
Is it part of Coleman? On the other side of it?
There's a trail that goes within what is YWS land,
Yeah.
that kind of goes back there, but we have an easement on it, so that is a city, it's a city trail.
Is that a city easement from, where you turn to go the street, which I'm blanking on the name, it curves around and becomes Hagen, the one that goes straight back past the recycling center and goes down to the creek, it's like a
Yeah,
utility
that's the one
corridor.
I'm talking
Is that the
about.
one you're talking about?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's the one I'm talking about.
Yeah,
Goes
I-
by North by, Beartooth Electric.
Yeah, Beartooth Electric, Beartooth Industries.
Right,
And
and
it
they
just-
have a big culvert there now.
Yeah,
They have a
okay.
creek coming along.
That's what I was trying to get my mind around.
Oh, it's also our stormwater runoff, that's where that all goes, is down there.
Right,
Okay, we're talking about opportunities for,
well, that's a trail, that's an asset.
that's
It's
an
already
asset.
there.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay, opportunities, what other opportunities did we see for improvement or enhancement?
Well, AY Supply,
Yeah?
AY, yeah, and the city land adjacent
right.
to it, currently parking area for U-Haul vehicles.
Well, it was nice to just like look out in that and just imagine some beautiful building there.
Mhm.
Yeah.
When we're talking to campus.
Yeah,
Visioning, visioning opportunity, yeah. What would it all look like?
yeah.
How would that tie in, all those nice houses that they just built, those
Mhm.
little, they're funny little houses, but they're nice houses.
Mm-hmm.
And then those other ones, and then this nice building, and then this playing field, museum.
Yeah.
Big
Well,
visioning, right?
And
That's the vision.
I think another opportunity is where the gas, natural gas, you know,
The
the
propane,
propane place is currently, and I like your idea of the carrot, because, you know, that's another thing, they used to use that for storage for all their propane tanks, but those are no longer there. And really, all they need is an office and a big propane tank for doing their distribution out of, like we have out past Baldwin's on Highway 78.
So-
And that might be someone to suggest, you know, a relocation up to the new industrial park.
so is that something that needs more research on what the state of that is? You were saying that they,
Yeah,
you didn't think they were using it anymore,
Well-
that building was empty and, or?
I think, all I'm aware of is that they're doing, I'm trying to think of the right word, just distribution out of their big tank. You know, they have the truck that goes out and does deliveries, and they just refill their, but they don't refill, you know, small propane tanks and things like that. They
Oh,
don't
you
fill
can't
anymore.
just go there
No.
and get it. Ah,
It hasn't been that way for a couple of years.
yeah, well, that's good to know, that, I didn't know that.
Yeah, AY Supply is about the only place in town you can actually get a fill
Ah.
your propane bottle other than go pick up the pre-filled ones, you know, so.
Well, that's important to say, if that's a needed resource for the community.
They still fill it at the petroleum place there, in the back.
They're hardly ever, I mean, I haven't found them open in,
Oh, I'm not saying it's not tricky,
Let's
go down and
focus,
drop
let's
one.
focus on our
Okay,
opportunities. We
yes.
don't need to worry about where we
We'll
can
worry
fill our
later.
propane
We'll
tanks
have that
right now.
conversation later.
But it's something for research.
It's
Yeah,
research.
yeah.
On
Mm-hmm.
further research.
Any other opportunities or, potentials for
Well,
improvement?
that one,
enhancement?
the one place with the beautiful big pine trees, that,
Oh, yeah,
In the
yeah,
house, a lot of days
and the house
adjacent.
that's all boarded up,
yeah,
and that's
It's actually, yeah, big.
that's for further research.
yeah, yeah.
That's the yellow one on the west
Mhm.
side of the street you're talking about?
On the west side of the street, yeah, kinda near,
Stucco.
yeah,
Mhm.
kinda near the back of the fire,
It was
Fire
Fiddle
House.
and then it got sold and I don't know who to, but okay, I know which one you're talking
well,
about.
I think it's Mondrian. That's what I heard somebody who talked to her about it. They're divorced, so that's why.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that she was open to, you know, interesting things there, like housing or park or something, so that's worth research.
Mm-hmm, yep, yep,
But in the visioning, it would be
Yeah.
interesting to try both those, say a park,
yeah.
or maybe a park and some small housing unit,
Mm-hmm.
those
Mhm.
little housing units.
Yeah, yep. Okay. Any other opportunities or assets?
What happened to the motel? Did that sell?
Oh,
And I was gonna point that out, because I think it's very attractive. I mean,
Yeah.
the
Mhm.
entrance and everything, and it's always neat. It's,
Mm-hmm.
I think it's an asset, because
Well taken care of.
when you're driving into town, it looks nice.
Yeah.
Oh, and you're talking about Alpine.
Up
Yeah.
in Lodge or something like that, yeah.
But it was for sale.
I don't believe it has sold yet, but
Okay,
don't quote me on that.
so who knows what's
Mhm.
gonna happen to it?
Yeah.
Mhm. Keep an eye on that. Would that have to go before planning if they wanna change the use?
If they do want to change the use, they do have an existing, use that they were requested and were granted a year or three ago that had,
For the
that
RV.
they had a checklist of things they had to do to allow it. That is by, I think by April is when it's all gonna be. Then they did have some things that were not yet done, but my understanding is they're ticking off that list, and so.
For the RV.
Well, yeah, to have our RV parks there.
Yeah.
Ah,
That's
they already
interesting.
have this,
It's all
Well,
built up, but.
they had to put,
Yeah.
that asphalt was one of their conditions, so they had
Uh-huh.
to add asphalt to it.
and then they have the charging station, or the hookup station.
Yeah,
And I think they had to close some of those down, but yeah, that's an asset or
yeah, nice looking. Okay, well,
Keep track of, keep an
Yeah.
eye on.
yeah,
I mean, we have no control over that. That's what
No.
you were asking, Perry. What do we have control over?
Right. yeah.
Not much.
Well, another opportunity would be the walking trails that you were talking, that was kind of interesting, some conversation about walking trails that were approved as a condition of approval or something like that.
The Brewery Hill
The
walking.
Brewery Hill.
Yeah.
walking
Brewery Hill.
trail, yeah.
No, for Alpine Basin,
Yeah,
Yeah,
Brewery Hill,
okay.
yeah. That's the one we chipped in on?
No, I'm talking about for the condition of approval of the subdivision of
Oh.
Alpine Basin, that there was a contingent upon some
Yeah,
walking
what
trails.
happened? It'll be a while.
Alpine Basin was, one of the conditions was that they would provide an easement for walking path that connected with the street, what is this? The street up
Lazy
above.
M.
The airport?
oh, the Lazy M.
Lazy
Lazy
M.
M.
Lazy
Yeah.
M.
They'd connect to
Oh.
Lazy M, and then would eventually, they'd work with, Fairtooth Trails and the city in terms of providing, helping with connection to down Brewery Hill.
Well, that's what
They actually, some of those URD dollars that they put forth, they were one of the groups that matched that too, and they are working on the easement, so.
Yeah, and
Right.
we've got an engineering study going on that, right? Yeah, so-
Yeah, I think we just got it back today, late
Oh.
this afternoon, to go post online as soon as we look at it and make sure it looks good, so.
But that should go in the vision.
Yeah, yeah,
right?
right,
Yeah.
absolutely, yeah.
That's an asset.
And that's done. I mean, that's done. Well, it's not done, but it's started.
Started, yeah,
Have to get the big transportation grant yet, right?
yeah. Okay, well, just looking at this new business item number, part 8, discuss February 10th walking tour observations. Any other observations or anything in general that we wanna?
Well,
Well, I think it's another opportunity, because walking path, that's kind of been discussed, and it was tabled a few years ago for the one along 212
that's the one you're talking about,
on the
2 mile.
east side of 212, because, well, it had to do with the railroad right away, and I know there was some discourse with the property owners, and I know part of that, the fence is actually out to the edge of the highway right away, and so that fencing would have to be moved, and that's a hardship for the property owner. I mean,
But that's outside our district.
no, from that's, our district extends along Highway 212 up to almost 2 miles.
But not on that side of the highway.
On the,
There is a strip on the east side of the highway.
to the
Oh, there
railroad,
is?
to the railroad right away, yeah.
Oh, there is. Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I think that was at the December meeting.
Yeah. That one, okay. Oh, it's a very skinny strip, yes.
Yeah, the distance between the
That's
road
okay.
and the railroad.
It's not really suitable for anything other than a walking,
It would be
walking,
great.
biking path.
Walking, biking path would be great for the
Yeah.
hospital, yeah.
Unless we're gonna do a 4-lane
Now, I
road.
throw that out with the caveat of, don't believe any map until it's.
Yeah. Unless we're thinking of a 4-lane road entry into town, but I don't.
That sounds like an easy thing to do.
No, don't go there, you know.
Oh.
That connectivity has been part of the growth policy
For a long time, yeah.
But that's definitely something to
And
put in there.
again, that's
Work on.
something probably that needs to be kind of worked out and coordinated with MDT when they do, if and whenever they
Lighting,
widen
Yeah.
212 out to 2 Mile Bridge.
so I'm sure we'd have to submit
And they're
it
still talking about a circle there, right? Traffic circle?
With that,
Traffic circle, they're still talking
at
about.
2 Mile Bridge, I
Yeah.
believe,
Yeah.
so, yeah.
so yeah, they'd have to be part of the conversation. So that right away could certainly change.
Really, they're doing a little roundabout at the,
That's what they talked
Mile
about, I don't know if they still want to do
Yeah, that was years ago, that was,
I don't know if that's still part of the design, but that certainly was the proposal at one time.
interesting.
But that's a good idea, when they're doing that, you could add it on and it'd be a lot cheaper. They've already got the equipment.
So as we get them to pay for it again.
I'm just thinking of getting ready for the, our visioning session, that
With
if we
the-
have all this done already.
Mhm.
yeah, with the K-State.
Yeah.
Is that in the March?
March, yes,
The
we are,
March meeting.
they are going to join us online at March meeting.
Mhm.
I think to talk about, what I had here is actually not gonna happen today. They will do what we have in old business, they'll do that in March. Discuss next steps on inventory rendering, community engagement, resource roadmap. So they're gonna come meet with us in March for those things.
When you say come, are they gonna be online or they're coming?
Online, yeah, Yep, okay, anything else for an asset is definitely Mountain Springs, is that what it's called?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
Mhm.
definitely.
Mountain Springs,
We didn't go that far north, but there's also that way
Yeah.
on between the, two businesses, a floral business behind Family Dollar
Mountain Springs is,
and
Mountain
tap room.
Springs is the existing apartments, it's not part of it, right?
Half of it is, it's weird. Like,
When you say the land behind, do you?
No,
West?
just north, or south, I'm sorry, of the tap.
like the south side of the
There's that
street, I
lot.
think, is,
And then the other side of the tap room,
I
there's
don't know.
another lot which Messiah Lutheran was going to do something with, but then they changed their mind.
Yeah, so who owns that now?
What's this
No,
one?
Sam
Which
bought
one's
that.
Mountain Springs?
Sam bought that,
Oh,
that's
Mountain
where he
Springs is,
expanded
yeah.
to.
No, there's still another lot to the
There is?
north of that, yeah,
Oh,
between there and the golf
mobile
course.
home park,
Oh,
so it's like, it includes this side of the street.
I
not
on
this
that
side of the street.
house.
oh, I thought that was one
I
of
have to
the
ask you,
specifically
you know,
has to be
that-
out of it.
they would
Well, I
like to
guess-
have it, they would like to have it
I
for
don't remember the
baby
city specifically
houses
asked,
for their,
the little flower shop place up here,
Oh,
for sure, but.
I know they don't have any,
Yeah.
any space left up against the hill,
Mhm.
because they would have liked to. I'm telling them to go look at those little tiny homes, but they fit.
Yeah, except there's a lot of water back there.
Yeah.
Is there, oh, right, that's right, the
Mhm.
runoff from the
Yeah,
house,
mhm.
yeah,
Yep.
that's right.
That hillside has, potential slump
Slumpage,
issues as well as, water, spring water.
Right.
What you can do on that slope is pretty
Yeah,
limited.
really.
Yeah, the whole west bench is leaky.
Not included.
And even in terms of, I think you have to be a little bit careful if you dig into that toe slope, because
Start sliding.
if you move a toe slope, you're gonna, that hillside moving down.
you're gonna have new neighbors.
Yeah.
It's like California where the houses slide down there.
And in fact, just a couple of years ago, there was 2 slumps that happened out there. I think, one of them was just, north of where we were with Mountain Springs. It was, and I think the other one might have been, on the south side of town, or maybe in that same area, but I know there were at least 2 instances
Wow.
where that hillside slumped and moved.
Yeah. Okay, well, that's something to think about, because if that's in our district, and you said you thought that there's a park behind the Mountain
Well,
Springs?
yeah,
West of it?
there is a
Up on
park
the hill?
behind.
That's definitely not in it. That park that's up the hill is not within the district.
What? If it's between Aspen Ridge and Mountain Springs? It
I
has
don't
to
think Mountain Springs is in the district.
Unless
Yes,
it's
it
on
is.
one side of the street only.
Mm,
Oh, 'cause it goes
Yeah,
along the
that's-
street back
Right.
there.
Oh, Coots is the boundary? Is Coots Avenue the boundary?
I don't know
I
if that
think so,
picture.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I said, we've got a couple of different pictures out there, but
I thought, I read that. I don't think-
is it possible to
that's
get
not a
like,
tablet, you have to do it this way.
is
Why
it
would they
possible
do that? I
to
don't
get
think so.
from the engineering firm, like a
Yeah.
print?
It's basically what we defined in the ordinance.
I know, yeah, I'm just saying, can we each have copies, like detailed, like several pages printed out, so we can, because almost every meeting, we're talking about, oh, is that in or is that
Well,
out?
right now, I'm just looking at the website. This is city website right now, so yeah, we can print that.
Like, so I would like to have that, because every meeting, we're talking about this, you know, like if we all
Well,
had
and
a,
it doesn't have road names on it. Oh, wait a minute. I think it was defined.
Yeah, I printed the, original,
yeah,
exhibits. from-
but they're so small.
It's so
I
small, and
have
there's no
that
street
too.
names. It's
Yeah.
like, you can't really, you have to really understand what you're looking at.
Yeah, you need,
But a better map would be
you need
great.
it on at least 11 by 17.
Yeah, or else a couple
Or-
copies or something, yeah. Based on it.
Yeah, like what are the boundaries of the Mountain Springs exactly? Like, they don't include all of those trailers, right? Or do they?
Yeah.
But I know, yeah, Mountain Springs is all of those trailers, and I know the park is further west than that. It's west and north of it. So
So
if
that
there's
could-
a question about if Mountain Springs is in there, the park is not.
So like these guys on the west side, no, but all of these guys would be. So if like, if this is part of the park, then, you know, at least half of it is in there.
No, the park is up here.
No, yeah, but the park's definitely not in there. But I'm saying like, these are out.
Oh, you
but
meant the
these
park,
are
the
in.
trailer park, not
Yeah.
the park park.
Yeah.
Sorry.
But there has to be a surveying definition.
I don't think it's a survey, it's a text. So what happens is, there's an ordinance that defines it, and then they just went in and drew it out in GIS. And we've got two drawings that don't match up exactly, so.
Oh, interesting.
That's not research.
Yeah, they just talk about the boundary and
Yeah.
in a big, long paragraph.
But I even remember talking about this with James, like it splits Mountain Springs.
I remember that too.
Yeah, it is, the stuff
Like
on
the
the
west side
east side of the road is
is-
in, and the
Why would
west
that
side's not.
be?
And there's even a north-south in it
There's
too,
some
because
reason, I can't remember.
this is in.
Yeah.
That's where that's first, is that first?
First and Hauser.
First is the,
I thought second was.
it is on that side of town.
Right. It's not sure.
How can we do anything if we don't know where? it
That's
is?
what it would be nice to have it out.
Oh, dear.
I'm sure,
It's not gonna change.
I'm sure we have the, like, GIS shapefile thing somewhere, right?
Don't you think
Somebody
the
would
church
have.
has it surveyed?
Oh, it
No.
is surveyed. It's,
Yeah.
I mean, it's, yes.
It's
I mean,
defined.
A
It's
surveyor's
defined.
description, a
It's-
If that is in there,
No,
but
but
I'm just
it's
saying.
it's not a survey, there's a definition.
I
Right.
know,
It's
but
a
it should be
description.
a survey definition, that, you know, like when you buy a piece of land, it's this exact piece.
I think it
It's
is.
not maybe a little bit here, maybe
No,
a little bit there.
It's by parcel. I
It's
mean,
by
by
parcel and
parcel.
street generally. So like Coots Avenue, I think, is one of the boundary pieces.
Okay, that,
Yeah.
if that's a boundary, then that's a boundary, okay.
okay, any other comments on our tour?
Thank you, Joanne.
Yes,
Yeah.
thank
And an
you.
official, thanks to Cart as well.
Yeah,
Thanks to David,
Yeah,
yeah.
that was
David
really
did a
good.
great job
Yes,
driving us in the zone.
it was a little exciting. You should have come there. He drove
had
us up
another
this
meeting.
hill.
I
I
had
thought we
another
were gonna
meeting
die.
that when it
Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah, I think it was a great time to do that, and maybe, I just think it's great, and thank you so much for organizing it. It's wonderful.
I think it will help us vision
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, next one is under new businesses, a report on Senate bill impacting tax income and finance. I don't have that. Does anybody have have you guys?
I mean, I have the latest bill text in it.
That's the one of the things that they've done is this, just a lack of city services is one of the things that counts as a definition now too.
Oh, really?
That's not all finalized yet,
Under blight?
Yeah, there's, it hasn't passed or anything, but there's, what are some highlights here? Honestly, it doesn't hugely modify the definition of blight. It does go into more detail on must meet 3 of these criteria. So we could go through those if you want to. Do we want to?
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay. So it used to say, you know, there's a list of 10 some things. It would say now, has to meet 3, let me just make sure that's correct. At least 3 of the following conditions, yeah, so. One could be an advanced state of disrepair or neglect or necessary repairs to the primary structural components of buildings or improvements in such a combination that a documented building condition analysis determines that a major repair is required or the defects are so serious and so extensive that the buildings must be removed. So in my mind, that's like Eagle's Nest. B,
Hospital.
right, or something that's filled with asbestos or something. B, structures that have become ill-suited to their original use. That could be interpreted broadly.
Hospital, that would be the hospital.
Yeah, hospital. C, deterioration of building structure components or infrastructure such as roadways, alleys, curbs, gutters, so the infrastructure is bad. D, buildings or structures that endanger life, limb, health, property, safety of the general public.
And Chair, can I add a comment as we're going through this list?
Sure.
So one of the things that is really interesting to me that was an eye-opening when I called and talked to our legislatures. When we set up the TIF district here, the conversation, even though that's not what the wording was there, it was a half a dozen things, the conversation was specifically about housing. How can we use this to help improve housing?
Mm-hmm.
The conversation at the state level is that the sole purpose of a TIF is to increase the taxable base for the city.
Yeah.
And so as we're going through these definitions right now, when they're doing it, we're talking about the hospital, we're talking about the Eagle's Nest. I think it does apply to the batch processing plant, and applies to AY. You can look and see where the purpose is to increase the tax base. But I just keep that in mind as we're going through these definitions, from what they have in mind versus what we had in mind.
Mhm.
Well, and they did add a specific line here. The state's tax increment financing laws must be used to encourage the development or redevelopment of blighted areas.
What does that mean?
Right. To be interpreted.
If you're gonna do this, the new picture has to generate more taxes than the old picture. That's how I would translate that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I wouldn't. I would
I wouldn't
say
either.
that you could.
Did you,
Blighted
you said must be used
credit?
to increase the tax base?
It has nothing to do with tax base in there.
credits?
It
It
says
says,
blighted,
It has to be used to encourage the development or redevelopment of blighted areas. So
yeah.
that could expansively be including like a trail network, you know, that would,
Okay.
Beautification could even
yeah,
fall into that, you know.
becomes less blighted. Becomes less of whatever these categories are.
Yeah,
Right.
Jeff,
so
you
it's like improving.
I don't think it has to be income producing.
Mhm.
It hasn't said anything specifically in the bill. That may be how, Brad and others are interpreting.
Well, and I think it is definitely, it's an economic development tool, like,
Right.
absolutely is.
yes,
And that's what,
that's how Billings primarily uses it.
Well, and part of why they're revisiting this is their perceived abuse of Missoula, of the big three.
yeah, they think that the development would happen anyways. And that's why they're trying to get business owners to go.
And I guess one of one of
no,
my
it
asks
wouldn't.
is, I'm gonna be sitting down with these folks at the end of the month, so if there's specific concerns or thoughts, or we wanna see this, or that scares us, or that makes us nervous, I would be very interested.
Well,
in
I mean,
that feedback.
depending on how large your blighted area is and what that blighted area is currently being utilized for, although they're blighted, some of those areas are tax revenue positive, they're producing revenue for a community. And, ideally, you don't want to take those out, off the table and replace them with something that's not revenue producing.
Well-
unless that creates a more
bigger
attractive
bigger
environment.
benefit as a whole,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, unless
So you have to
you're
weigh-
making the pie bigger versus,
Yeah.
fighting over one
No,
slice of the pie.
You just kind of want to weigh it out,
Mhm.
Right, you could have industrial blight that's making a lot of money, but
Yeah.
it's still
That's what I
blight.
was thinking.
you know,
You could
like-
have a nice floral.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Yeah.
Laurel Refinery would be, not
Yeah, smack it right
something you
down.
want on your front door,
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's gonna produce a lot of
tax
revenue.
revenue, yeah.
Right, so, anyway. Okay, so I'll wrap these up. Where was it? Buildings or structures that endanger life and limb, yeah. Inadequate utilities and infrastructure, so stormwater, sewer, all that kind of thing you're in. Real property in the area that has incurred or may incur future planned Montana Department of Environmental Quality or United States Environmental Protection Agency remediation costs, so brownfield stuff. Tax or special assessment delinquency exceeding the fair value of a majority of the land and improvements, or excessive vacancies occurring in buildings that are unoccupied and underutilized and that represent an adverse influence on the area because of the frequency, extent, or duration of the vacancy.
Deal list.
Wow.
Right. So that's our list of, criteria, and we have to meet 3 in order to be considered blight,
Okay, so that's like,
at least on this meeting.
that's proposed in the bill.
Yeah.
So is there any grandfathering? And does that mean everybody has to throw out their existing
I don't think you would,
urban renewal district?
I don't think established TIFs would become insolvent or something.
Well, you would think that they would have grandfathered in if they've
I
already
think so.
operated as.
You've already
Yeah.
created the district, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's like,
they've already created the district and they're already working
It
at
might impact how they use their funds for the future.
more priorities,
Yeah.
but not that you wouldn't be allowed to use the existing structure of the TIF.
Right, that's how I would assume it would go.
mhm.
Of course, who knows?
Right, true.
I just don't see wiggle room for the last parcel. We did go on Brewery Hill, we crossed the road.
Yeah, and I think I only heard one in there, which was the utilities.
Yeah, that would be the one.
But,
We need
but
to-
the other part is, as I go through and Joanne dialed into it, is how much of what's there right now could we justifiably include if we were doing the definitions. I'm gonna play devil's advocate here for a little bit too. Jumping ahead to the treasury report, how much is in there in 2 years, Jeremy? Just under 300?
Over the course of 2 years, yeah, roughly, something like that.
So that's $300,000 of additional tax base,
Tax revenue.
tax revenue, that cannot be spent for providing any of the services, for instance, of all those new homes up in Alpine Basin. We can't use it to help pay police, fire, any of the services that we provide as a city. We've
So it
already,
doesn't-
we've already promised the increase away or allocated it someplace else.
To the TIF,
Pardon?
to the TIF.
To the, meaning if not for the TIF, we'd have $150,000 a year
More,
more going forward.
sure.
And I'm just thinking out
That's not
loud.
exactly how.
Yeah, I don't think,
Yeah, because we wouldn't have the schools and we wouldn't have the county's portion of it.
doesn't that, I don't think that's how that works.
So the city's mills still get calculated
Speak up.
regardless of it, like, it takes out those gains, so you can have your mills higher than you would if you had included the TIF. So if we didn't have the TIF, then all of that new construction, would go into the newly taxable, but your millage would be lowered as a result. So it's not quite a one-for-one taking of one to the other, shifting the baskets.
I appreciate that, thank you.
Anyway,
But as I said, there's a whole bunch of pieces that kind of, and don't get me wrong, A, we absolutely want to get some housing. And if this is a mechanism we can use to do that. B, we want our entrance to look nicer than it is, so all our objectives are valid and fair, and
Well, the only reason we're concerned about this is if we wanted to add that extra piece, right? That's why we're looking at the new
that's our
rules.
goal, yeah.
I wouldn't say the only, but
Declaring
yeah.
it a blighted area.
And I think I think I've heard from this group that we're kind of, that we're not, we don't think, or we're not inclined to do that.
We're waiting for.
Well,
Colin's
yeah,
report.
we were waiting for this bill to be finalized, and then we were going to ask, for that,
Okay,
the rationale from the planner as to why that would,
after Bill, staff report on yea or nay.
yeah. Well, the rationale for why, because that's really gonna be a technical answer, which we're not equipped to put together.
Well, you read somewhere that you could use potentially TIF funds for adjacent parcels or something like that, so.
Yeah, I think I read that in the, I think it was in the Montana Code, I read it somewhere.
And what was really funny is that other piece we were talking up there, we didn't want it inside because of the money. We wanted it inside because there were rules about how you could let the land out that were less cumbersome if it was a housing project. There was a loophole for housing if it was in a TIF, if it was in a URD. That's what drove that. It wasn't about using the money out or increasing, it was the process by which you can have it be built on was far less constrictive on the municipality if it happened to be in a URD. That was what I was looking at as the benefits there.
Yeah, but what I read, and I can't remember where I saw it, was a statement where you could use TIF funds on adjacent properties to the URD.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I feel like, I don't know, I'm trying to do a good job here of leading this group meeting.
So how could we settle that issue? Who
I think what I heard, which I agree with, is we have to wait until after the bill passes, and then we get a professional staff report on how it impacts us.
That's what you
Okay.
said.
Yeah, and I think that's valid, and I think that's still what we're waiting on.
It really is the rationale, like if we were gonna propose to city council to include that, we need the rationale. as to
We
why-
need the air cover for them to do it.
Right.
Is there rationale even?
Right, yeah.
Are there any restrictions because of the runway?
No.
From the airport?
On that parcel, I don't.
How, meaning as far as that property being used, or, no,
There's no height restriction or?
no, there's, it's side to side as opposed to off the end, so.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
There is an upside down, if you wanna look afterwards, I can show you what the implications are. But we could build stuff 10 times taller than our building codes allow at that location, it would be okay, so.
It is pretty off to the side, like it's at the end of the runway there, it's like,
Oh, it is, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, it's hard, I don't know, it's hard to get that.
Yeah, when we get done, if you wanna look at some of the, I've got a little bit of information on it, but we'll save it so that I don't want Kara giving me that look.
Okay, so let's, do we have anything more on the report on Senate bill impacting tax increment finance?
I don't.
Any questions? I feel like we're-
Other
Moving
than
along.
just the ask, if you guys have any thoughts, shoot me an email. And I've made a note about the grandfather thing to ask about. And the thing that was the scariest, which I don't see in there, is that they were talking about somehow making it so that it didn't come back to the city when it was done. And it was really, the only thing I could figure out their objective was to get all the cities to drop them of their own free will and volition ahead of time, because it completely defeated the purpose of why you do it.
Yeah, that was a different bill, I think, and I don't know that that one's advancing. I don't know.
Okay, well, let's move on to old business, and this, I really, I put this in here, I did not understand. So I put this in here, and then the Kansas people said, we're not gonna be there, and I didn't.
We'll be there in March.
Yeah, we can't do this until March, and I was like, okay, well, I didn't wanna create an entirely new agenda and all that work, so
We'll defer that.
we'll just defer this, yeah. This item will happen in our March meeting, so that should be a good one. So it's really just kind of getting lined out for whatever we're gonna have happen. With the treasurer, do you have anything more on the treasurer's report?
I don't have any new information.
Okay. Great.
I assume the county will be sending us more numbers in August, maybe-ish?
Okay, any written correspondence, petitions, communication from the audience?
I have one that I was
Do you have
gonna
anything?
share.
I do not. Thank you, though.
All right, thank you.
We had a letter that tangentially relates to it, from Bill Foisey, talking interestingly enough about that snow or that trail. His conversation was about snow, but it referenced a lot of the sidewalk east side of 212. That's not really, it's a path and not a trail, so he kind of talks about it and alludes to it, but just by way of information.
Any other business? Okay, well, with that, I guess we'll adjourn and meet again March 10th. Thanks, everybody. Thanks
Yes,
again,
thank
Joanne,
you.
for
Thank you.